Hello, welcome back to the game room and welcome back to the Polymega journal. So this is actually my second version of this video because the first one was, I don't know what I was doing. Nothing says like you screwed up than getting to the halfway marker of an hour-long video and realizing you didn't have any actual video footage of the system to go with it. So, short version. The reason this video is a little bit late is because I thought there was going to be a system update on the December 15th for the Polymega, and that didn't arrive. So I decided instead of waiting to see when it's going to happen, I'll just go through the video and then update as usual. To catch up speed on something from one of the earlier videos, the actual Polymega controller, which is of course across the room, my theory on how to fix the diagonals of the D-pad works. The problem is I don't have the proper way to make the correct fix for it. So I want to reach out to a couple of friends and see if I can get some help. And if not, or if either way, if I can or I can't, I'll get back to you guys and let you know how it is. But I don't want to present the final results until I can actually test them how it should be tested. Let's just say that I'm really tired of opening that controller and messing with it. The fact that the screws aren't stripped at this point, it's ridiculous. And like I said, the controller works fine as it is. It's just my little curiosity with the D-pad. So that said, I did get my turbo module in, and I had done an unboxing video and testing it out in real time. That was part of the original video that I dumped, and it didn't flow real well. There's a lot of dead space. Even with editing, it didn't work right. So the short TLDR version of getting the turbo module, oh my god, I'm in heaven. As I told you guys, I was going to test out this controller as soon as I got the module in, and it is a dream. Playing Saturn fighting games with this guy, the TurboGrafx games, the Sega CD games, I cannot express how good this controller is. And me and Mrs. Game Rave actually spent the night a couple days ago playing Puzzle Fighter on the Saturn against each other with two of these guys, and then playing Bomberman 93 on the TurboGrafx, and it was a hoot. It was the real deal. What's curious is with the turbo module, and to a degree some folks' modules from the other systems, on the last shipment, there seems to be a weird issue where the modules are experiencing the same problem real cartridge hardware had, and that is the teeth connection. And to illustrate that, I did have a notepad around here that I was going to use to illustrate, but of course it disappeared. I'll just use this. So with the modules, if this is the module and this is your game cartridge, so like this for the other systems and like this for the Hucard, if you're pushing the cartridge all the way in and it's reading as game media and then won't install or won't play, it's probably because the teeth are not making contact with the actual teeth in the module. And this was a huge problem in the original NES, at least in my libraries. My Super Nintendo and my Neo Geo MVS arcade cabinet, that's console, had that same issue where a bunch of carts would not work if they were pushed all the way in. To fix it on those, once I had stuck the MVS cartridge in, I would just push all the way down and then gently tug up on it a little bit, so that little bit of distance, for some reason, made the cartridge work all the time. In the Polymega's module instance, it's the tug method, but in reverse. So I only have the turbo module, but there were 7 games that did not work in the full slotted way. And the way I got it to work is when you put the cartridge in, you only push it far enough to where it touches the actual teeth. You can feel the resistance, and then you just push it in a little bit. The trick is to be about at like 95 or 98% in, and if you do that and look at your screen, it should populate correctly. I installed every game in the TurboGrafx American Library except for Night Creatures. And Night Creatures seems to be a universal issue from what I've seen on the Facebook groups, aside from one person, but they didn't mention how they fixed it. And looking at my copy, it plays fine in My Turbo Duo, but I can't tell if there's something in between the contacts, like using a little magnifying glass. So I'm going to research that later on. Other than that, installing was literally an hour and a half. Like anything below 10 megs on the system is practically an instant install. With the Hucards, with the exception of the 7 that I had to like fiddle with to get to work, it was literally input, button, yank. Input, button, yank. Hour and a half, I had 90 games installed. It was perfect. The there appear to be issues where certain games that work fine with the base unit alone are having issues if there's a module plugged in. Like I can personally confirm and cross-confirm with someone else on the Facebook groups that Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter on the Japanese Saturn, if a module is plugged in, there's a weird audio hiccup. Like the punch sound effects sounds like they're getting stretched. So you can tell it doesn't sound right. But if you remove the module, it's fine. The other issue, and I don't know what's causing it, is Samurai Showdown RPG. Now, I had played it on the Haomaru side for a little bit, and it was fine. But then after attaching the module, I went to go try and play the Galford side just to see how it started out differently. And once you get to the world map, this awkward beeping noise just starts happening. But then I went back to try it under the Polymega BIOS, because I'm running the Neo Geo BIOS, and it doesn't run under the Polymega BIOS. So I'm wondering if it's an issue with just Galford's quest, which would be interesting. I haven't had time to look into it. But I will say this, as of this video, my TurboGrafx library with the Turbo Duo, my Sega Saturn library, my Sega CD library are all full installs. And of the Sega CD, only one game did not install, and that was My Paint, because it actually is not in the Polymega database, so they'll need to add that. Night Creatures didn't install because of whatever the issue is with it making the contact. But otherwise, everything on Saturn installed just fine. And that's where we're going to start the video today. Is, as I mentioned in my Instagram post, I did not realize the Polymega handles variants in the database. So like if you're scrolling through, in fact, let's actually show you. So if we go to PlayStation, and I know PlayStation is the first slot, so of course I already scripted the video, but it's okay. If we go to Area 51, you can see that I actually have both versions of version 1 and version 1.1 installed. And that goes for every game that has different versions in their database. So when I get to Tomb Raider, I can actually install the original, the core version, the red burst variant, the yellow burst variant, etc. And I can have them all on there, which would be great because as long as they play perfectly, I can use this to easily capture differences, do screenshots and so forth. It'll be fantastic. As far as the installations go, some of the problems I've been running into, and of course I'm the graphic designer in the group, is as a side note, when the Polymega was first announced, I actually asked Playmaji if it was possible to create your own thumbnails, and they said not at this time. And I can understand because that could cause havoc in the database. The problem is there is a little havoc in the database. One of the first ones right here, as I'll show you, is when they were creating icons for multiple discs in the same series, they were obviously trying to save time because they were trying to find 6,000 games to go through. So as you can see here, there's ArcLad 1, ArcLad 2, 3, etc. It's fine. The first problem I came across is here. So there are 4 games in the Arcade's Greatest Hits collection. This would be Midway number 1, Atari number 2, Atari number 1, and then Midway number 2. The problem is in reusing the silver logo across the games, someone got confused because these each have their different colors. Like this is gold, this is a lighter blue, I think, and this was the gray. Here's the problem. This is Williams Arcade Classics, okay? See the games on the thing, how it's Joust and Defender? Notice a problem? That's Joust and Defender on the wrong game. And if you click into this, it's the correct gold cover. So there is a cover issue in that particular problem. And then there was also a problem which I felt like an ass sending to the debug report because I felt like it just came across. Oh, they did it here. They did it here too. Wait a minute. Are there? I guess there are. I don't even know what games I installed, and I have the full set. That's funny. I felt like an ass because when it came to Daytona USA, there's the original edition, which is this guy, and then there's the Netlink edition, except when you click into it, whoa, wait a minute, it's not two separate things? Oh, that's funny. Okay, so there it's treating it as the same game, which that's actually fine. So when you click into the Netlink edition, it's the wrong game cover. That's the original Daytona. At minimum, it should have been the championship edition, like this guy. So I sent them a little debug message saying, "Hey guys, I know this game that only like 18 people own is wrong, but I can provide you with the correct image if you like." I felt like such an asshole. But yeah, so I figured with this video in talking about how good the TurboGrafx controller is, I know a lot of you guys want to actually see footage. So this episode is going to be showing off footage and showing how some of the glitches were overcome. And first, we're going to go back to the main screen, and we're going to go to R-Type. Now, with R-Type, the reason I'm going to play this one with you real quick is in my first playthrough of it, in the settings of, I think I had it at 720p RGB. When I got to the end boss and defeated the end boss, there was a crazy set of blue and white hash squares that popped up that were a glitch, basically. And I saw someone else in a different game have the issue, but in whatever game that was, someone else said they didn't have that issue. So I'm betting it's going to be the resolution. So for this video, I've set it to 1080 HD, which is the highest setting you can have. So we're going to see if those glitch explosions happen again. So let's find out. And this is all real time, guys. I'm literally saving this for you guys so you can see my genuine reaction. So let's find out what happens here. I love this game. R-Type was one of my original purchased games on the TurboGrafx because it is just absolutely fantastic. And it was one of the games on the advertisements and the magazine ads that was always like, look at the size of that alien. Oh my God, you can't do that on Nintendo and blah, blah, blah. See? Glitched. So it's not a resolution issue. That is going to be a bug report to Polymega. So with that out of the way, that aside, it looks so good. Even in the normal view, because I turned off zoom, it turns out zoom can actually cause some of the shimmering issues where it looks like there's a line rippling through the graphics. Scoots on my, spelled with a K, on my Discord mentioned that if you turn off zoom, it pretty much fixes it for all the games he's played, and so far it's fixed it on my end too. So now that we've answered that question, we're going to exit out and go back to my played, just to show you guys how good this looks with the newer Turbo Duo games. A little bit of Gates of Thunder. This game is so good. I actually have my headphones plugged into the TV for sound, and the Polymega just outputs it so well. It sounds so good. And of course I died because I'm not paying attention. But this game has some of the best music ever on a system, and it's just fantastic. And I'm sure you guys are hearing my button presses, which is probably not good. All right, so we got that going. A lot of you had asked me to start diving into Saturn and PlayStation. We're going to cover Saturn here, and then I'll get to PlayStation in a sec. So one of the crazy things about the Saturn is that it had an absolutely crazy resolution back in the day. I can still remember the issue of Game Fan, Die Hard Game Fan, where they were talking about Virtua Fighter 2 and how they had to change how they took screenshots because they couldn't capture it correctly. And that resolution is at play here on the Polymega. Like, it looks absolutely ridiculous. And before anyone asks, the lines you see in the background, that actually is just like the Saturn. It's just so good. Burning Rangers actually looks really good, except for like there's a random glitch line that I have to go back to the original hardware to see if it does. But I'm using my classic controller to play. There's no lag. I know a lot of people are like, oh, like it's not FPGA. There's gonna be lag and blah 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 blah. I have not experienced lag of any kind. I have used the original controller. I have used my PlayStation Classic. I am using the Turbo Graphics controller through the module. I have not experienced any crazy lag, even in games where like it would reveal itself if there was, like in Pandemonium. Everything plays fine. Like it really is cool. All right, another good game to show off would be Tomb Raider on the Saturn. Nope, I don't want to do that. Hang on. Load save state. I loaded state so we could skip the loading time for the video. But as you can see, even in 1080 HD, it looks gorgeous. The lighting effects come through really nice on the Saturn. You can see all the little footprints from the wolves. And I don't know what my buttons are on the PlayStation controller for this, for the Saturn side. I'm actually asking for one of the, I think, retro-bit Sega Saturn controllers from Mrs. Game Ray for her birthday and Christmas, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, just, it looks so good. Texture-wise, oh, so good. And I gotta pull that off and climb up there. 2D games look absolutely fantastic. God, I was playing Street Fighter Alpha 2 with the TurboGrafx controller pad, and it was home. And if you can hear that peeping in the background, my laundry is done. But yeah, it's just so good. I don't know if Burning Rangers is on the internal BIOS or the Saturn BIOS. Let's find out before I go to the other stuff. If you don't know, save states don't work between the BIOSes. So unfortunately, I can't tell if there's a way to tell what BIOS your save state is on. So well, let's find out. Although I think I saved to the actual internal, quote unquote, internal memory. So we'll see how that works. All right, let's test. Let's see if I was on the thing or not. Oh, that's new. Did it act like I reset it? Oh, yeah, that's bad. Oh, no, wait. We're doing this live, remember? So, wait a minute. So, I lowered the save state, but it acted like I had just reset the system, which means I'm on the wrong BIOS side. But that's kind of crazy. So, if that's the case, let's do this. Let's exit out. Let's not load from the save state so it's correct. And then I'll just load from the internal memory, and we'll see how that works. Burning Rangers is such a good game. It can get pretty, for lack of a better word, garbly when you're in the thick of things with the fire graphics and so forth. And that's even on the original Saturn hardware. But man, Sonic Team knocked that one out of the park. It was so much fun. I don't know why Sega doesn't sequel up so many of their older great games. Like, after they kind of lost their way during the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 era, like, they need to find their footing again, man. I miss them. I was never even really a big Sega fan, but they did such good games. All right, so we're going to load the save data. And I think I'm still in training. So we'll see. Yada, 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 yada. Oh. Oh. Oh, well, I guess we're going to do training for a little bit, guys, so you get to see the graphics either way. It's all good. I love the art style in this game, too. I mean, there's not much protection on them for being fighter fighters, but they do look pretty cool. Oh, no, so it is first mission. Okay, cool. But yeah, so this is the Polymega running on the Saturn BIOS. What's interesting is the BIOS going back and forth sometimes has unexpected consequences that you wouldn't think of. Like, one of the members on the Facebook group was saying how with the official BIOS running, what was it? The dinosaur fighting game, Primal Rage, just gets stuck in this, like, infinite reset loop. So that's not good, but it ran fine as far as I could tell using the Polymega's BIOS.
Coordinates set. Coordinates confirmed. Transport.
It's so good. And of course you can't skip, so we'll let them talk.
You copy that, show? Listen for a sound before the explosion.
But yeah, everything's readable. Everything looks good. Saturn emulation has come a long way, and it kind of got blown wide open a couple of months ago, and everyone's been running with it. Like,
careful, your shield is out.
It's just so good. But this way you get an idea of how the 3D games look on it. Obviously the fire sprites are 2D. And then get a good idea of that. We'll jump out here. And then we will jump to... I know it didn't come across really well in my previous video because I had the filters on. So just to prove a point, let's go to... Oh, I changed... Oh, yeah. Use Breakers instead. Breakers is just a phenomenal Neo Geo fighting game. And if you've never played it before, you really, really need to play it. It's just... It controls like butter. Super smooth. The animation, even for the Neo Geo CD, is incredible. Like, there's just so many frames of animation. Easy to jump into. Every character is basically a Street Fighter character. We're going to fix this real quick so you guys can actually see it. There you go. System save, save. Oh, I just did that. I used to play this all the time on my Neo CD, but I hate the Neo CD controller. This and the Polymega module controller are just incredible to use. Tia is probably my favorite character in this game because she's like this weird amalgamation of Sakura, Chun-Li, and Ryu all in one. Like, she looks and acts like Chun-Li, as you can see, but she throws fireballs and does uppercuts like Ryu, and she's got a couple kicks like Sakura. And it just controls so smooth. And just like in the other video, there's no loading time on the Neo Geo CD thanks to the cache of the Polymega. I think I played this straight for like 3 hours one night, just forgetting that I had to still install games. It's so good. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to some PlayStation. And the PlayStation emulation on the Polymega is really good. I'm actually currently playing The Divide Enemy Within for an eventual review. But to show you the difference with the BIOS swapping, as I've mentioned before, I still have Polymega's original compatibility list that they took down because I'm sure it's outdated by now. but it helps me figure out what to research. The world is not enough came up in the compatibility issue, and it's pretty funny why. And I'm going to do this in real time, and in post, I'll do the comparison to show you guys. So the problem the world is not enough has with the Polymega BIOS is that the gameplay is fine, but the textures of the characters get all foobarred. And in this case, it turns all of them into the beginning secretary. Except I'm running the BIOS, so you see the corrected version. So I'll do this in post. And then if we go to Tomorrow Never Dies, in Tomorrow Never Dies, it's an interesting problem. So the game on the Polymega BIOS, the game ran fine, except the camera gets stuck inside Bond looking down at his feet. So it just doesn't... Did I forget to load the patch? There you go. So you'll see here, on the corrected side running the PlayStation BIOS, which I'm running the 5501, it looks fine. We can move around, we can do stuff. You'll see in the split screen that it just doesn't quite work on the Polymega BIOS. Now, what is curious is Tomorrow Never Dies doesn't show up as being incompatible on their list, so I'm wondering if they tagged in the Greatest Hits edition. I'm actually using the original Black Label for this since I'm going straight through the alphabet. So, going back to the variant and version number, because I can't do anything one at a time and I have to always multitask, if you guys remember, Project Dizzy is where I am basically archiving all of my discs and comparing them to redump.org to make sure I don't have things that aren't listed. And as luck would have it, I'm not even out of my first little shelf section, and I've already been able to report some new findings. With the side tangent for a second, it turns out Alundra has a 1.0 and a 1.1 version, but for some reason the 1.1s were only on, I think, the two last ones, and then a random earlier one of the A through E's was a 1.1 for no reason. And in discussing it with my friend online, we came to realize after I discovered in my collection that I have a 1.0 that didn't show up as a 1.0 on Redump, and then one that was a 1.1 that didn't show up on there either. We began to realize that Alundra may have been printed not all at once, but sequentially. So the infamous missing F might have been the point where Working Design said, well, wait, why did this get rejected? They went back and may have discovered some sort of bug or a minor tweak they could have done, fixed it, and then as they went forward with the last few variants, they started reprinting A through E with the 1.1. Now, I don't know if A through E all have 1.1s, but trying to sort that out where the only way to find out is to throw it in the computer or test with the Game Shark is a hard ask of eBay sellers to do and check out. So that might be a while before we confirm if all that pans out. But I bring that up because since I have to multitask, when I'm installing the games to Polymega, I am also replacing the jewel cases and bagging them so that they look really nice. But now that they're in a bag, I am labeling, and this is going to be kind of hard to see, I am now labeling all the games on the outside of what their SLUS number is, or PSRM number, the IFPI for the manufacturing, number of rings, etc. So from a variant hunting standpoint, if I think I see something, instead of having to open every damn game to look at the disc or the manual, I can just flip this around and say, hey, this is the one I need, and go run back to eBay and check. That's part of the reason why installing the games on the Polymega is going so slow for PlayStation, is because I'm installing them, then taking the thing and redumping them and labeling them and cleaning them up and then filing them. So that's why it's taking a bit longer than the other ones, where I don't really track variants on the other systems. So those went by real quick, so I didn't have to care about it. So that is why that is happening. But I have to say, having now had the system for this long and getting to the nitty gritty of everything, I still have no real big complaints. This system does amazing things, and with the proper follow up with bug reports and patching, this system's going to go far. And I know that's going to offend a lot of people. I shouldn't say offend. It's going to piss off a lot of people, because there's a certain percentage of the population that just likes to shit on things and see everything fail just to prove they're right about their opinion on it and so forth. But as someone who is a console purist, and I've been that for years, the Polymega is the first device to make me actually put away the Geo CD and basically leave the laser active just for the laser discs. I don't need to use it as a Sega CD machine for most things. Now, that being said, clearly, as I've shown you, the Polymega isn't perfect, but we can work through that. Right now, the only kink in the armor for the system, I would say, is probably the Sega CD. In playing Sewer Shark, which, now that I think about it, I'll play for you guys here. In playing Sewer Shark, I don't know if it's all the FMV games, but some of them have a weird sound issue. And I'll go quiet once this starts, but there's a lot of static and popping in Sewer Shark, and I can't remember what the other, I think it was Fahrenheit, where I don't know if it's the emulator or just the Polymega. Like, I tried removing the TurboGrafx module, and I tried it between BIOS and Polymega's BIOS, and the static is still there. Now, they do have a feature to try and help all the Sega audio, but it doesn't quite work, and it has different results based on which game you're using it on. And here, I'll let you guys listen in.
Another crash and burn. First time, rookie. Hey, listen, I hear they're putting you in with Ghost today. Now that's my main man. Greatest co-pilot to ever shoot the tubes. Give him your best stuff, and he'll keep you flying. Maybe all the way to Solar City, huh?
Yeah, that static and that popping, that's not like that on the Laser Active or the Sega CD. So that's definitely something in the emulator that will need to be worked out. Other than that, plays fine. I was shooting the tubes all day long. But yeah, other than that, everything else can be worked out. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. Yes, it's got its problems just like every other system. But as I continue this journey through installing the PlayStation games and tracking the variants and stuff like that, it's going to be an amazing ride. Have at it. If you have any questions about the Polymega, the TurboGrafx module, let me know in the comment section. I will answer every question I possibly can and reference you where you need to go. I am going to get this all set up and transfer to the living room computer, and we're going to try and make another video. Take care, you guys. Have a good one.